such a pleasure to meet you virtually.
Yes, nice to meet you as well, Tony.
Normally, we would do this at the Four Seasons over coffee and applewood bacon.
Oh, yes. You're speaking my language. I'm from Kansas. Bacon's a food group.
I was going to ask, where do you hail from? So you're from Kansas?
Yeah, exactly. Kansas
Wow.
City.
And what brought you to LA?
Well, I went to New York first, so I was there for a minute, and then I came out here. And my time in New York, I love New York. I'll always consider myself a New Yorker. But in one year, there was a nor'easter, a hurricane, and an earthquake. And I went, you know what? I think I've had enough. I'm good.
Yeah, but now you're nostalgic for it because of 2020.
Actually, oddly enough, I'm kind of miss the New York solidarity. Like there's something about it that's I don't want to be in the snow right now. Sorry, friends,
Well,
but
it's true. The people in New York walk with a purpose. In
yeah.
LA, nobody walks.
No,
So
no.
there.
They really don't. They don't know. Yeah.
So did you do a lot of stage work?
I did, yeah. I do sing as well, and I kind of got my started in theater by way of musical theater.
Yeah, because I'm
Um,
I'm I'm an ex hoofer myself.
are you? Yes, wonderful.
My
Yeah.
my Tevye would make you cry,
Oh my gosh.
and
If
not
only.
for the good reasons. It's terrible.
I know.
Did you enjoy musical theater? Was it a good experience for you?
Yeah, I loved it. I think so I originally, my cousin's a performer as well, and he was always, I idolized him. And he went the way of classical music and then found himself into musical theater. And I kind of started at musical theater. Anyway, I kind of found my way in college.
Hmm.
I was the musical theater kid that always got cast in the plays. So when I got out of school, I've toured and things like that with musical theater singing, but I really found that my niche was straight theater, film and television. So when I got to New York, I sort of carved out my path a little bit more in that way. So I love it. I'll always be a musical theater dork.
But you're also a an improv artist.
Yeah.
And where did you study improv?
I did a little bit of work at the Pit in New York, and
Wow.
out here I'm studying at the Groundlings and doing
Oh yeah,
sketches.
Mindy Sterling's group.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was with the Groundlings for I can't even do it here. This much in Second City,
Yes,
and they were
yes.
in Pasadena at the old Handlebars.
Yeah.
But that was two lifetimes ago because
Yeah.
I'm old now and can't
Uh,
remember anything.
no.
So producing and creating a show has got to be both at the same time one of the biggest headaches and one of the biggest blessings there are.
Yeah, I found my way into producing. I sort of felt like it was a grown-up thing to do is start to create my own thing. Um, and there were also a lot of things that I loved that I wasn't seeing. And so I thought, why not carve a path for myself and create opportunities for others as well? Um, and I'm a Virgo, so I mean, I don't know if but if I believe in all the astrology stuff, but it's fun to flirt with. And I am very organized and I like to, kind of put things in their place. And so producing it helps with that hat. Um, I have an accountant father, so I think that's part of where the
Well,
thing comes.
nice. Well, you
But
developed a purposeful ADD.
yeah, yeah. Well, honestly, I think ADD, the inverse of that, also becomes hyper focus.
Yeah.
So I do think I have ADD that gets pointed in the right direction sometimes. But yeah, I love the producing aspect. It is a lot of hard work, but I also think, when you come up through working in the theater, that's you're kind of used to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain loveliness about a career that still requires apprenticeship in some form. And theater and television is like that because
Yeah.
there are people that graduate, NYU and all of that, and they still start sweeping stages,
Yeah.
because You have to.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's
So
always, you're always doing that, in a beautiful way, I think.
yeah, because I think, I've been on sets, set visits and with Russell Crowe and,
Mhm.
my one of my dearest friends in the world, Robin Williams. I knew Robin for almost 50 years.
Wow.
And they would pick up brooms and, yeah, and just, SAG be damned.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up that coffee.
Wrap this out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
what theater teaches you
Hmm.
is you're a troupe.
Yeah.
So do you run your production for Stupid Cupid like a theater troupe?
Well, I look at it kind of like a dinner party that I'm hosting that everybody's invited to. But really, I mean, there have been so many things that have been thrills in my creative life as a performer, but one of my favorite things is getting people who I admire together and doing our thing together and getting to watch them do their thing. So, it's a very collaborative process, from the scripts with this show to actual on-set execution. I want to make sure everybody feels like there are stories being told, that they feel a part of the decision-making process within reason. Of course, we have to like keep moving, but yeah, that's the goal, is to make sure that everybody feels taken care of and a part of it.
But being a producer, you're also dealing with money and
Mhm.
funding and all of that, and that's got to be an ongoing headache.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always there.
Thank God for product placement. I just,
I mean, yeah, yes. It was funny. I just watched The Sound of Metal over the weekend, and I was reading the origin of that movie, and that's fascinating too. And I think it just speaks to the journey that, I mean, they lost their funding the day they started shooting. They had to fix it the night before. I mean, it's always kind of, we were lucky enough to get a grant for season one for Stupid Cupid and then crowdfunded for the rest of it. So we started in a really great place, and I can't thank the people at NIFA enough, the New York Foundation of the Arts. And that's what also afforded us the opportunity to film in New York City.
and of course you follow SAG after rules, right? I mean,
Yep. Hmm.
it's a wonderful thing. And again, this is such a great concept. You've got four friends getting together and creating a dating service,
Yeah. Yeah.
which in itself rings kind of true to me. I Was this something out of your life that you experienced?
So the whole inspiration for the show started because I had been on myself several bad online dates when I was single living in New York. And I just like, I'd tell these stories at cocktail parties and I'd be like, and then it would cause other people to tell me their stories. And so, and they were all hilarious and heartbreaking and heartfelt. And I just thought, God, there's something here, And there's something universal about the feelings of dating, feeling rejected, feeling being the rejecter, like going through all the different and how awkward every phase of it is,
Yeah.
especially when you don't know the people and there's no context. So that was the original concept. And then I kind of started to do a little research around dating and was finding, behind the scenes, how a lot of our biases play out in dating and how horrible we can kind of be to each other. And I thought, well, like, what if this, call me Pollyanna or whatever, but what if we like eliminate all of those things that allow you to make discriminatory choices because of conditioning or something, right? And so that, and then I also wanted to see a TV show that looked like my group of friends. Um, like all different colors, all different gender identities, sexual orientations, and um, split down the middle, if not more ladies than men. Because
Well,
I'm
but
a,
I think in the world of dating, I think it's it is nothing but horror stories.
yeah, yeah,
Marriage really is just a date that worked out.
it's true. It's
you
true.
know, there's
Yeah.
there's no more to it than that. I guess I can hang with this person for the next 30 or 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. My friend says, does your crazy match my crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it looks like you're having a great time doing the show. Now, are you also behind the camera and directing?
I am not directing at this point. So, my boyfriend and so I created the show and we wrote together, my very talented screenwriter director boyfriend, Yaroslav Altunin, who is in the other room right now.
Listening to everything we say.
listening to everything we say, so I have to be nice.
And
Um,
writing it as a script.
yes, exactly. Turning this into a script. So we collaborated on the scripts together, and then I produced and he directed.
Are you going to be touching into this pandemic and dating? Because we're a lot of people are dating by Zoom now.
Yes, and that's such a fascinating thing that feels like we're in turn of the century dating rules now. I find it so fascinating. Yes, that's the goal. Our focus right now is just making sure that we have a solid launch for the show for season one.
Mhm.
Um, we actually had this completed about a year ago, and then the pandemic hit, and so we waited until it felt appropriate to release it. Um, and we also had a wonderful opportunity to work with Dun Vision Telecom, who's our distributor. And you can also find it on YouTube on Valentine's Day of 2021. But once that's launched and moving, our focus is moving into season two and kind of talking about what you're mentioning. The season two will probably launch with them getting ready to launch the app with there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in between, but they're getting ready to launch the app again. And then the world comes crashing down and they have to move remote and all this stuff. And so we want to kind of deal with the nuances of this and also the hilarity of it. It's not funny, it's hard. This is a terrible time, but I just mean to say what interesting predicaments we're finding ourselves in while people are trying to date.
But it's a very funny and ultimately hopeful show.
Yeah, that was our ultimate goal.
I got to introduce you to some people because I have a woman that a friend of mine, Tracy, who used to run the Mormon dating site out here, and
Oh,
she's
wow.
got stories.
Oh, wow, I bet. Oh my gosh.
In getting the show distributed, I mean, that's got to be a huge problem as well
Yeah.
because it's not just about the distributor; it's the right distributor for it.
Sure, sure. And we got so lucky, we put our teaser and trailer up on Vimeo just to kind of put it up there. And we were planning on launching last year, but pandemic paused it. And then the thought was we'll submit to festivals when the timing's right. And so we've done that. And we're usually what happens is you submit to festivals, you see what happens, you drum up interest, and then you distribute, and then you release. But Nikki at Dun Vision Media found us on Vimeo and reached out and said, "I
Wow.
want to move forward with your show." So we got very lucky in that way, and they've been wonderful collaborators.
That is great news that that still happens because there are
Yeah,
people that lose hope and they have brilliant ideas, but again, they I think it's also putting yourself out on Main Street somehow so
yeah,
somebody will see your cart, so to speak.
yeah. And I the thought was just continuing to drum up interest for the show. I didn't even think it would happen. It would just sort of fall in our laps like that. So we were very lucky.
The reason I ask these kind of questions is because I have a lot of followers that are students and they're just kind of putting
Mhm.
out their first productions and all that. And these are little insights as to, you know,
Yeah.
not giving up, just keep believing in your project.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I've been working on to all of your students and filmmaker friends out there. I've been working on this project for probably like initial idea started about 5 years before we started filming. And I wasn't a writer at that point. I just the pieces all started to come together, but really and then we applied for that grant, we got the grant, and then that really took things off to the races. So keep plugging away at it. It takes some time.
Do you actually write scripts or do you do the Larry David thing of having an outline and your actors are ad-libbing?
No, we have written scripts, and then we do allow the actors room to play because some of the best stuff comes out of that. But no, we do have written scripts.
And is there a particular episode that sticks out in your mind as what you're really, really proud of?
Yeah, I think episode 3 of our first season is my favorite because it's yeah, episode 1 and 2 were kind of like, and we're short form, we're a web series. So each episode's anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes ish. But episode 3 is my favorite because we've laid out the groundwork, you know what's going to happen, and then now we're on the first date and you get to see the craziness that ensues. And so the game is sort of set up, and then we get to watch Wayne T. Carr, who plays Reed in the show. He has a really great moment with that.
I'm gonna particularly go to that episode and just watch
Yeah.
after we're done with this
Yeah.
conversation. But I'm
Oh.
really surprised at how many established actors there are doing short form
Mhm.
web series now. My friend Perry Gilpin, who used to be on Frasier,
Mhm. Yes.
was in. In fact, she was up for an award, an Emmy for it. So
Amazing.
I think it's really attractive for actors to be able to lock themselves into a short form and
Yeah.
not worry about the overhead and the bigness of a half hour to an hour series.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, we have like a 48-minute long show, uh, all of the episode combined. So it is sort of like shooting um, two uh, episodes of a full half-hour comedy. But the thing, I think it's so great to experiment with storytelling in a short form content. You really have to boil it down to the essentials. That's been a great learning process for me. I think also there's so many opportunities now. Things have changed so much, even within the pandemic,
Yeah.
about how movies are made, how they're going to be shown, what people are interested in seeing. I think it's really exciting to be able to sort of take, because as an actor, you're kind of waiting a lot, right? You're a part of the process, um, but I like to be in there and I like to be creating.
Well, you're also changing how the system is going to work. The model that
Yeah.
we had up until the pandemic is not going to work anymore.
No, it won't.
This is one of those things that I hate to, be the bearer of this, but I think movie theaters are really going to be not out of business, but there'll be a special kind
It's
of
a
night
special night.
because
Yeah.
everything that's available now is available to you immediately
Yeah, exactly.
and on your theater size screen at home.
Exactly. You're right. I do think that when all of this sort of starts to normalize and get back to some what feels like some kind of a center, I do think people will be craving being in person with one another. And so I think movie theaters and the theater, the live theater, will have a resurgence, but like you said, it's sort of a niche and specialty thing.
Yeah.
We don't take it for granted as much anymore. And it's just simpler and easier a lot of times to just watch the latest thing on your television.
Well, it's also about training, because we've trained now for 8 months, a year, not to go. And so
Yeah,
getting people back onto the wagon is going to be, take a year or two.
you're right. You're absolutely right. And also just people being scared about getting sick or something else happening. I know the first time I walked outside with a mask on, it was sort of like, oh God, don't come near me, anybody. Like, you kind of get used to the environment, but I think, in little ways we're having to learn how to be.
You find it strange that you can actually now walk into a bank with a mask and ask for money.
I know it's strange.
Uh, but yeah, I people who come to me and they say, "Well, gee, I want the theaters back." And I said, "Well, when Blockbuster closed, I wanted to, I miss
I
going to the video
know.
store. Ain't
Yeah.
gonna happen anymore."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the more things change, the more opportunities I think, come.
Yeah. There's going to be, I think, a huge production boom when things start to normalize as well, which is super exciting. And I think the inclusivity push that's happening in Hollywood is incredible. And the types of
Yeah.
stories we're going to see, it's going to be, it's going to be so exciting.
And I'm so glad that, it wasn't this way even 5 years ago, but I'm
No.
really glad that we have these opportunities for women
Hmm.
now. And Hollywood now, even though they're forced to open it, is starting to see that there's profits in that.
Yeah, I think, women, though I haven't looked at this stat lately, but we're 51% of the population. So forgive me if that's not exactly right, but there's a whole industry there. There's a whole network.
Yeah.
And then also skilled people who are able to work in a lot of these roles that aren't traditionally female. I mean, I think Hollywood still has a long way to go
Yeah.
towards equity, but I see some positive shifts
Well,
towards.
I'm hoping
Yeah,
that happens.
yeah.
The extreme thing is that Hollywood wakes up and maybe not have the best actress, best actor Oscars, just a best actor, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. But then it gets too extreme, doesn't it?
Well, I think I'm not opposed to best actor, best actress category. I think Um, there's some things over time I think we'll see with non-binary folks, how that's going to be
Yeah.
handled, people who identify, so we're going to have to shift the way we're looking at this in some capacity. But I think, I think that there's still so many opportunities for hearing voices that we're not used to hearing. And that includes too people of varying ages. I think uh, we need to hear from people who are over 40. you know? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The forgotten people.
Yeah. But I mean, it's so there was a Gina Davis on Institute on Gender and Media sends out a report every year, and I'm on their email list, and there was something about um, not a single movie in last year's movie cycle starred a woman in a leading role over 50.
Mm.
Like that,
Got to change.
gotta change.
Got to change.
Hmm.
In our last moments together, and by the way, Sarah, thank you so much. I really enjoy good conversation, and I wish we had coffee.
Yes,
Um,
same. I have my tea here in
yeah.
my
Oh
Big
my
Hero
God, look at
6
that
mug.
bowl. Is that a big thing
Big
six?
Hero 6. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
Big
the
Hero
Legacy
six.
size. Isn't it
Wow.
cute?
I have this, so I got to hold it right there.
Oh, you got a Starbucks.
Yeah,
What's your order at Starbucks?
my daughter got it for me.
Oh, your daughter. What's
Yeah.
what's your standard though? Like, what do you get when you go? Just a
I
latte?
just got a cup of Joe with cream in it. I'm not
There
a
you go. He's a classic kind of guy.
I'm a purist. Yeah, maybe
Purist.
maybe a
Yeah.
biscotti once in a while, as you can plainly see. But what else are you working on? You got to have something else in your back pocket.
Yeah, so I have a feature that I'm writing right now. I have some products in development that I'm producing. And as an actor, I am auditioning. It's a little different right now. Things are happening. I have filmed something in the pandemic,
Oh, wow.
which is a comedy video with Andy Dick that was hilarious. It's a Tiger King parody. I don't know when that's coming out. I have to look it up. But yeah, so nothing specific to report at this exact moment, but yeah, there's lots of things down the pipeline. I can't wait to. I'm like focused on Stupid Cupid, and then I'm like rolling up the sleeves and on to the next thing. So
I am so happy that we got to chat. I love the series. The episodes that I've seen so far, and I really am praying that it gets picked up into a larger audience. But I think that'll come
yeah.
as people demand it. And your actors are just phenomenal. They're just so much fun.
Thank you. I love actors, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it. This is our little baby.
Well, it's true,
Out to the world. Yeah.
but you can birth more. You can do more.
Yes, and I can't wait. But thank you so much for having me. It's been so nice talking to you. You're a wonderful interviewer,
Thank you.
and thank you for being interested in talking about the show.
And if you ever need a bartender in a scene,
You know it.
that's my thing.
Yes.
I look like a bartender.
You do. You do. You do. That's the thing, the bartender, you want to tell them all of your secrets. That's a good interview.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you're not doing bad from a little kid from Kansas. So I'll tell you.
We're trying.